Rebecca Jarvis, ABC. I'm sorry, Liz Schultz. We have a different correspondent. Liz, thank you. Schultz, ABC News, talking about that as a credit score adjustment because a lot of people have a tough time borrowing even higher interest rates. Federal Reserve, by the way, looking at interest rates the next day or two. I wouldn't expect anything real soon, maybe by the end of the year. We'll come back to that. Got another nice day out there. We have a nice stretch of weather going on. And welcome to Tuesday, 11 days into June. We're just about 9:07 in the morning. Good morning, New Hampshire, the pulse of an H. Of course, the pulse of Maine, the pulse of New England, the pulse of the country. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the pulse of an H. Coming up, J Dog, more candidates filing for the big offices here in the Granite State. We'll have some of those folks on today. We're going to have some fun today, too. We have a great comedian coming up, J Dog. He's going to be at the Portsmouth Music Hall, I think, June 21st, 22nd. Is it Pat McGann? Is that right, J Dog? And then Ricky Skaggs, the legendary bluegrass singer and country singers, coming to Keene, the Colonial Theater. So they're all live this morning on the show. And the Hunter Biden jury continuing to deliberate. And we're going to have some thoughts on polls and is this election in terms of an approval rating for the current president? Is this election going away from Joe Biden, or is there time for him to get back on track? And is the economy driving a lot of voters, including independent voters? We'll come back to that. As I said, people filing for office, and Dr. Vikram Mancharamani, Dr. Vic, of course, used to be on the show quite a bit until he decided to run for Congress in the second congressional district as a Republican. And he's filing this morning. Tomorrow, a Democrat who's running in the second congressional district is filing, Maggie Goodlander. But Dr. Vic, a Republican running in the second district, and now nationally, it looks like that second district, which used to be pretty comfortable ground, is at least the six terms Ann Custer held it for Democrats. Now it seems to be up for grabs. Dr. Vic, you're filing this morning. Thanks for being with us. Good morning, New Hampshire, the pulse of an H. There always seems to be an undercurrent that a lot of people don't pick up on what average families are really feeling. And obviously, the inflationary pressure is still very real. What else do you hear when you go out and about at events now that you're running pretty much full time for the office? Yeah, again, Dr. Vic, you're pretty much on top of the pulse, no pun intended, in terms of issues. And I just feel that I think there's something that a lot of people in Washington are missing. And by the way, I did have Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as an independent presidential candidate on, I think it was last week, J Dog, in an exclusive one-on-one interview. And one of the things he brought up that no one seems to be bringing up on the national stage in terms of Biden, or Trump, is the 34 plus trillion dollars in debt. And it's getting to be a problem, but no one in Washington seems to want to talk about it. If you were to be elected in the second congressional district, I know you have a challenger, at least Lily Tang Williams is a Republican who's run and running again. But if you were, how do we, should that be a bigger issue? And how do we get it in Washington politicians to become a bigger issue? All right, you're on the way to file. What's your schedule? All right, thank you, Dr. Vic Filing, Republican, 2nd Congressional District. Thank you. We're going to have some debates coming up. We're going to wait a little bit on those, but we can announce we are going to have a gubernatorial debate. Kelly Ayotte, Chuck Morris, Republicans, August 29th, 9 to 10:30, right here in our studios in the Capital Region. The Pulse of an H. Good Morning, New Hampshire, 6-hour studios right here. We're going to have a live debate for an hour and a half. Ayotte, Morris, the two sort of big name Republicans running in the gubernatorial side. We're going to have some of the congressional side too. Just heard Dr. Vic, Lily Tang Williams, I think August 20th. We're going to be having a debate with those two and reaching out to Mackie Goodlander and, of course, Colin Van Ostern. They're in that 2nd Congressional Democrat district. And, of course, the 1st Congressional District, we had Chris Pappas on yesterday, the Democrat incumbent. And we'll come back to that in a moment. We'll be doing a one-on-one interview with him because he's really not going to be in a debate format, but there are Republicans running the 1st Congressional District in our gubernatorial debate. Our friends at AARP, a lot of important issues sponsoring that as well. It's interesting, coming up in a little bit after our next break, we'll be hearing from Michael Graham, NH Journal, but Michael was talking with Mike Pomp early this morning on the Morning Information Center on the Pulse of NH, just about Pappas and how he is a barometer. And he's being very, how do I say this, proactive in his filing, proactive speaking out, and really trying to distance himself from what some people might sense as a presidential election swimming or moving away with the currents, if you will, from Joe Biden. Now, Pappas clearly will support Joe Biden. He's not a Trump person. That's not my point at all. He's a Democrat. But he's realizing that whether it's securing the southern border, the economy, inflation, he's sounding more and more like an independent. What does that mean right here in New Hampshire? Because New Hampshire, if you look at the federal delegation of seats in Congress for the past couple decades, New Hampshire's been more blue than purple. More blue than purple. One would think this is a stronghold for Joe Biden. Why is it up for grabs? So what does that mean for everything from the governor's race to the congressional seats? We'll have that coming up. Hey, a reminder, this Friday I'll be live at Great Bay Spa and Sauna in Portsmouth. Live this Friday night at noon. Come by and say hi. Beautiful, beautiful showroom. We're going to be giving away with Jamie and his team there a brand new hot tub, state-of-the-art hot tub. Our Hot Tubs for Heroes Veterans giveaway. That is not a rinky-dink giveaway, by the way. That's a game changer for any home. So that's Friday morning. This Friday. All right. Hey, Google. Hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of an H. Jack Heath, J-Dog on the boards. It is Tuesday. Welcome to 11 days into June. We'll talk about the Federal Reserve. Do they have any idea what's happening with the economy? And why do I feel like the economy is becoming a bigger and bigger story, even if they don't want to admit it, in Washington? You remember that song, right? Rich Men North of Richmond. All right. A little bit later on, we're going to be joined by a comedian. That's always fun. Who's coming to the Portsmouth Music Hall. Pat McGann. Also, Ricky Skaggs, the bluegrass country singer, joining us live this morning. He's got some great hits. He's coming to Keene, the Colonial Theater. Hey, Google. Hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of an H. Jack Heath, back in a moment. I was trying to cue up the rambling speech that the president gave at this event, the Juneteenth speech event. Is that how I pronounce it, J Dog? This Juneteenth. It was a celebration, and I'm gonna have a listen because I think it's interesting. If I can get it right, it's tricky here, but here we go. Joe Biden speaking after this event, and the vice president, to her credit, Vice President Harris was pretty much enjoying it, very natural. But during the music part of it, and people were, really celebrating this, the president is just standing there. The president's just standing there, very stoic and almost afraid to do anything. And then he gave this speech, and it sparks concern because, again, there's a lot of slurring in his words during the speech. And again, he's older, we get it, but there's a presidential election coming up, and let's have a listen.
That's why I awarded the Medal of Freedom to Miss Opali as well, the grandmother of Juneteenth. She knows so long as she was denied, our freedom can never be secured. Her decades-long march brought her here to the White House when she stood by my side as I signed the Juneteenth federal holiday and handed her the signing pen for helping make Juneteenth possible.
So it is what it is. Both of the major candidates are older than not. Mike Pomp had a clip in our news just a moment ago. I think it was Mike or National News, where some state of North Dakota is going to start looking at, the age of someone when they can, if they're over 80, can they run for Congress, which is kind of weird. You think of age discrimination, but remember Nikki Haley? Remember Nikki Haley, everyone? She ran for here in New Hampshire in the primary Republican presidential primary process as a candidate. And she was talking about, kind of an acuity test, a mental health test for people who are older in terms of their faculties for federal office, like a U.S. senator or a president. Look, you're not going to change a table. The table's set. The table's set for this fall, and you've heard me, if you listen to the show on an ongoing basis over the years, I think going into this election, I think the fix was in. I mean, come on. The fix was in. It was going to be Biden and Trump again if the national media, the mainstream media, national folks had their way. They wanted a rematch. They wanted the matchup again, Biden and Trump. Look at J-Dog, look at the Celtics are playing great. We got some college major, baseball playoffs going on, NHL Stanley Cup. There's a lot of good sporting events, but talk about politics and sporting events. I mean, that first debate, if it happens between Biden and Trump, talk about a doozy. Can you imagine that? I mean, it's going to be quite a show, put it that way. And again, both of these candidates are what Biden's into his 80s. Trump is closer to 80 than not. And they're going, this is it. This is the choice, whether or not you like it. This is the main choice. And again, let's talk about why that is, by the way. Let's talk about why that is. And then you do have Dr. Cornel West. You have the Green Party candidate, Green. And then you have Robert F. Kennedy. I'm sorry, Dr. Jill Stein running in the Green Party. Dr. Jill Stein, she's run before. Then you have Kennedy running as an independent presidential candidate, RFK Jr. And he's scoring higher than anyone else. But the system is, okay, our healthcare system is a racket. Just let's face it, it is. It's not working for doctors or patients. That's why you hear them float this idea of exempting medical debt for money you owe after a procedure to not negatively or adversely affect your credit rating. That's why. But the healthcare system's a racket. So is our major political system. It's a racket. It's rigged. It's rigged. I mean, I'm not falling off the conspiracy tree theory here like this morning. I'm telling you, it's rigged. Go back to forget it now. Go back to the 2016 cycle, and ironically, it's more rigged on Democrats than Republicans. Let me repeat that. The national political system is rigged. It's almost like controlled, like the way organized crime will control a state or certain businesses. It's rigged. Organized crime in certain major cities will control the concrete, the garbage pickup. They get their cut. The National Democrat Committee and the DNC, the National Democrat politics, is totally rigged. You don't believe me? Ask Bernie Sanders. Ask Bernie Sanders. He's won the New Hampshire presidential primary the last few times. Ask him about 2016 when Hillary Clinton was anointed. Ask him if they were ever going to let him become the nominee. And Bernie will tell you, old Bernie will say, no, no way. Not elect. The DNC nationally, the Democrats really rigged their process. And look at this time. Once Joe Biden wanted to run again, he was going to be anointed, not nominated, anointed, selected, chosen. Didn't run in New Hampshire. Forget the early contest. Start in South Carolina, wrap it up. He's anointed. He's the nominee. Period. End of story. Now let's go to the Republican side. It's kind of interesting. Trump has mowed down the competition. A lot of people running in 2016 in this last go around. I mean, major names, and Trump wins the primary. But the RNC isn't rigged. He won. I mean, Trump wins primaries and Republican primaries because the Trump support hasn't shrunk. Think about that. Really hasn't gone away. So this is the choices we get. Once Trump wanted to go again, and Biden, I remember when Trump announced during the summer, last summer, once he wanted to go again, and Biden, the system's rigged. Good luck to some outsider. And here's the problem why our political system stinks, and I could use another word that begins with S, is Congress is even worse. Now, we just had Dr. Vic, and people are filing to run for offices. Dr. Vic Ramanchramani, Republican, running the 2nd Congressional District. Lily Tang Williams is running. You have a couple of Democrats running, but good luck. If you're an artisan, a EMT, frontline professional, a nurse, a teacher, police officer, construction trades, independent home builder, HVAC technician or owner. Good luck if you, hey, I want to run for Congress and change Washington. Good luck. Good luck. If you don't know the big powers to be and big money, and the irony is these politicians, they're so full of what. I'm talking the incumbents. They say, oh, we need to take the big dark money out of politics. And that's exactly what they get when they run. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, special interest money, the stuff that they say is ruining Washington, ruining real representation in Congress. And they take all that money, they get elected. And then in Washington, there's 2 rules to the game. 2 rules to the game, and that's it. Raise a lot of money and get reelected at all costs. Stay in office. That's the game. Not make a difference, not cut the $34 trillion debt, not say no to your party leadership. Raise a lot of money, and by the way, indirectly, make a lot of money and stay in power. That's it. That's the success barometer in Washington. That's it. There's no other for the most part. And that's why you get senators who are so damn old, they don't even know where the hell they are. I mean, they run, they get in there in their 40s and 50s. All of a sudden, they're 80 years old. They're worth $50 to $100 million. How did that happen, by the way? Oh, my goodness. How did that? Even Nancy Pelosi is pretty adept at that, right? Don't tell me your husband's that good of a stockbroker. They're buying homes in the Tom Brady class. I mean, down in Florida, $20 to $25 million. Good for Nancy. A person of the people, by the way. Nancy Pelosi, a person of the people. She's got your back. Person of the people. Became rich and powerful. The 2 barometers in Washington. Stay in power and get rich. And that's why was it Oliver Anthony, that song, Rich Men North of Richmond? That's why it hit the charts. Just a guy sings his song from his heart, his feeling about, that. And guess what? You want to know what's going on in this election cycle? I'm not going to make J-Dog pull it. I'm not. But listen to that song again on your own when you're driving around. And I had to laugh. I had a deep gut laugh when that song came out. Now we're going to have to probably pull it up, J-Dog. I'm sorry. When that song first came out, I remember I posted it and I go, this guy hit a chord. And J-Dog was the one. J-Dog knows more about the music stuff and sports stuff than anyone. And he explained to me, Jack, this song isn't just big in the country charts. This thing is the #1 song of all music genres. Like when it came out, this guy and his guitar singing this song. And what was this? Pop chart, right? No, but pop chart. But that's all music, right? Yeah, and I don't know what's happened to him since, but he went to the zenith point. But why? His song hit a nerve. It hit a chord. You want to know what's going on this fall in the presidential election? Listen to his song. Now, I love the people on the far left. They were offended. And what do they do when they get offended? not offended. They were bothered because I remember one guy on my show page said, "Oh, this is the Koch brothers all over this. There's no way this guy just sang a song. This redneck hillbilly was what this guy posted on my page. Like, that's real mature." So he starts casting aspersions about how he looked. Redneck, hillbilly, white, and all these questions had to be backed by the Koch brothers, because there's no way this guy could have written a song and sung it by himself on YouTube and just naturally gone viral. Well, that's what happened, you moron. That's what happened. He hit a nerve. He talked about rich men north of Richmond, Virginia. Where's that? Washington, D.C. And 8 out of 10 people out there that pay the bills in America, the middle class, that's getting screwed and stepped on all the time, feels the exact same way of what that song was all about. Some commentary, 603-228-2008. So we come back. Michael Graham, New Hampshire Journal, coming up a little bit later on. Speaking of country and bluegrass, Ricky Skaggs going to be joining us. He's coming to Keene, the Colonial Theater. We got a comedian coming up in this hour as well, coming to the Portsmouth Music Hall. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play The Pulse of Nature. Back in a few. All right, welcome back. Busy Tuesday, beautiful weather, and nice stretch going on. Michael Graham, nhjournal.com, New Hampshire Journal. I heard you on earlier with Mike Pomp, and pretty interesting discussion. And I thought it was quite interesting what you were saying about Chris Pappas, who was on with me yesterday, filing for another term as the incumbent Democrat, 1st Congressional District. And I think he's sensing the independent voting waters being pretty up in the air here at home in New Hampshire going into this fall. Am I right or wrong? Take it away. Good morning, Michael. Oh, you did? Well, you never let me know these things. You just do it. Interesting. What else is catching your eyes? We get what I think he's a pretty sharp public policy reader, and I think he knows that. I think he knows when President Biden comes back here twice in a state federally, or at least should be in the bag for Biden this fall. I think he's worried about the Trump, and I think he's worried about young independent voters or Democrats not voting. I think he's worried about a surprise factor here in the fall, and I don't think he's taking anything for granted. Yeah, I just played a clip. Yeah. Yeah, I think I love the debate psychology and all that, and I don't think you're wrong. And I also think, but here's the challenge: if anyone could mess that up, it's Donald Trump. What do I mean by that is he really needs to be controlled. And if you look at great boxing matches in the past, there was just Sugar Ray Leonard was an amazing boxer, and he usually didn't win on the knockout. He won on style. He waited. He found the weaknesses. And Trump has to be very tempered, very presidential, and not go off every minute fighting everything. He has to focus and wait for that moment and quiet moment and ask the question or make a point. And Biden freezes, gets lost out there, and you're probably right. And so we'll see if it happens, but All right, what up? What do you make of these filings? Any surprises here? We just had more people in the second congressional district filing this morning on. Yesterday we had Chris Pappas on. Tomorrow or Thursday, I think Kelly Ayotte's filing. Any surprises or pretty much as expected, Michael? Mm. All right. Well, listen, we're going to, before I go to break, one thing I want to ask you. I look at energy around campaigns, and you mentioned that moment yesterday with Biden sort of freezing and then that rambled, slurred speech. My question is Trump goes in, has a rally in even some of these blue states, got a lot of energy around him. He's the rally person. You know that. He's been a rally person since 2016. He's got excitement. He's got a lock at his base. They're motivated. The Trump voters are very fired up. What I'm looking at is beyond the Trump base, the independents, the undeclared, and then the Democrats. I don't see big crowds around Joe Biden. I don't see an excited young Democrat voter doing handstands. And I didn't even hear that with Chris Pappas yesterday. Of course, he touted Biden on issues, but he wasn't really saying, oh, he's an incredibly strong candidate, is going to carry us all across the line, if you know what I mean. So I'm not seeing a lot of energy with Democrats around the Biden Harris ticket. Is that going to matter in the fall? Because I think energy does matter. It spreads enthusiasm and it sort of gets contagious. Hmm. No, they politically they've already lost it. They've lost it. They've lost it, and they're yeah, they've lost it, and I think they're afraid to inflame it and upset it even more because they've decided that they're anti-Israel, anti-Semitic, and that's just the way it is. All right, thank you, Michael. All right, Michael Graham, nhjournal.com. Coming up, we're going to save some time. We're going to lighten it up a little bit. Comedian coming to the Portsmouth Music Hall June 21st, June 22nd. We'll tell you who that is and all about it. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse for HS Friday. Looking forward to being part of the to witness on my show live at Great Bay Spa and Sauna in Portsmouth. Great Bay Spa and Sauna, Portsmouth. Jamie and the team giving away a brand new state of the art hot tub to a veteran. That's this Friday. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse for HS. Back in a few. Pat McGann is he's a comedian, and he's becoming one of the real stand-up stars in the comedy world. So we're going to hear from him in a little bit. He's coming to the Portsmouth Music Hall June 21st, 22nd. Later on, the legendary bluegrass country singer Ricky Skaggs coming to Keene, and of course Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion, where Benny Media, we have such a great presence in the Lakes region. J Dog, you and I were saying before, as we bring in Pat McGann, is what I love, and I'm wondering when we did my show, when we did my live show Friday, this past Friday at the home in Wolfboro, at the home of Goodhue Boat Company, the official boat company of this show in the summer. Everyone but Jimmy Fallon popped into the dealership there. We had such a good time on the road, and what I was saying is we had the people from Great Waters Music. You have the venues on the shores of Lake Winnipesaukee, these concerts, these small venues, a few thousand people. But Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion with some of the country singers up there, they'll get what, J-Doc, 5,000, 10,000 people there. And yeah, it's like Vegas and Vegas. You know why? You're getting out of craziness. You're getting out of the big city. You're going to this beautiful area. You can breathe. You get up in the morning, take a walk, go down to the water, and of course, we're going to be having more. And Portsmouth Music Hall is another great venue. So Ricky Skaggs coming up in a little bit, and here we are, news talk show, but it's fun to break it up. And Pat McGann is coming to the Portsmouth Music Hall, which a place I walk by almost every afternoon, June 21st and June 22nd. And he has taken the stand up stuff by storm, and his tickets, he's all over the country. He's joining us live now. Good Morning Hampshire, the Pulse of an H, right up into Portland, Maine, and nationally on Hey Alexa, Hey Google, play the Pulse of an H. Thanks for being with us, Pat. You're coming up in just a little bit here to Portsmouth. Have you been to Portsmouth before? Tell us a little about you. Where you're from originally, your story, how you came to comedy, or maybe you always. I don't think that. I think something you're born with. It's like you can either sing or you can. You might have a sense of humor or you don't. I think people in today's day and age need a lot more sense of humor. I don't think we laugh enough, Pat. I don't envy you because I think what you do is very, very difficult. But you're doing great. You're catching on. You're one of the fast rising stars. Where did it all start? Has America lost its sense of humor? I know, I know. I know. And I remember when my kids were doing soccer in the town I lived in, you go to a soccer practice for a 12-year-old kid, soccer practice. And it was like a University of Michigan football game. The couples would show up with their tents and the Gatorade pitchers and then the refreshments and the food like it was the end of the world, and they're clapping during a practice. Hey, Pat, let me ask you this, though. Pat McGann coming to Portsmouth June 21st, 22nd. Tickets available. By the way, the Portsmouth Music Hall is an incredible, wonderful venue, and it's a great time to be in Portsmouth, by the way, Pat. But I want to ask you, going back to this, because I do more in the public policy, political stuff, news, and our show here, News Talk. And I'm looking at this, remember the Tom Brady roast that we talked about? I actually watched about 45 to minutes to an hour. And one thing I was shocked, was just the shock value. I couldn't believe what these comedians were roasting Brady. And I guess in hindsight, I mean, talk about waking up the woke. There was nothing held off the table at that road. I mean, they were cracking jokes about Aaron Hernandez, who died in prison, killed himself. I mean, it was pretty ruthless. I guess the question though is, how do you walk the line? What is your special sauce in comedy? How do you keep it to you can laugh, get people together? Because today everyone's so damn worried about offending one person's feelings. It's like bring out the bubble wrap for the college students. How do you do it, Pat? Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, you, I love it. Yeah. 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 Well, it's funny because sometimes I have national newsmakers. Trump has been fairly regular on the show. You interview people, Democrats, and like sometimes I get off the show and I'm doing something in the afternoon, and someone, of course, you're hitting a golf ball or fishing. Someone wants to talk politics, and I look at them. I'm like, really? Hey, listen, before I let you go, June 21st, June 22nd, I really respect what you do. I don't think it's easy to be the funny person. I think it's really, I think it's one of the, Seth Meyers, of course, late night from Bedford, New Hampshire, told me once when he was doing a gig in some basement bar in Amsterdam. It was the only gig his agent could book before this show called Saturday Night Live saved him. And he said he and his wife was there trying to tell jokes in English. No one even understood English. He goes, pretty low points. I respect what you do, Pat. I wish you the best of luck. What's the website? How can people find more of Pat McGann? Awesome. Do you do you do you, do you, do you come in one of these big buses that I see in Portsmouth? They block off half the block. Hey, all right. Sorry about those Blackhawks. I love the logo. I love the team. Thank you, Pat. All right. Back, my man. Coming up, Ricky Skaggs in the next hour. Country music, bluegrass. Hey, Google. Hey, Alexa, play the Pulse Vintage. Can tell you about an important veterans dinner right around the corner. Phil Taub and a lot more next.